Yeah.
Hello, we are live. All right.
Hooray.
Welcome to the December Blade live show. Uh, this was a buddy read from my Discord a few months ago, but we're just getting to the live show now. Um, and yeah, this is by Chris Wooding. The blurb on the front says, or let's see, Lord of the Rings for a modern generation, an epic world full of history, depth, and adventure. So, pretty high bar, although every book has a sort of like comparison to famous literature on the front of it. But
Mhm.
yeah. Oh, also, I'm joined by Cait, the Almost Book Doctor. I forgot to introduce you.
How
Uh,
rude.
yes, um, the horror. Um,
At least it wasn't being compared to Game of Thrones like everything else is.
Yeah, that's true. Definitely, definitely. And I felt like the Lord of the Rings comparison was pretty accurate for this.
Oh yeah, there are a lot of way that the plot moved that felt like Lord of the Rings, but not in like a bad way where it felt like a copy. Like it felt familiar but good, if that makes any sense.
Mhm. Yes. Yeah, and like the inciting incident um was like this is a quest story, so the inciting incident for like the starting of the quest was like different than Lord of the Rings. So like I felt it right away because it felt like Lord of the Rings, but it did things a lot differently. And then later in the book, it kept following its own path.
Yeah, I didn't get Lord of the Rings vibes right away either. We're not in the spoiler section, so I can't say this.
Yes.
Never mind. But there's like about a quarter of the way through, maybe was when I first like felt it. Yeah, Andrew, shush, do not mention that. I had a good excuse, and at least I finished it. I really liked it. Did you notice in the back, Greg, that it says if you like Brandon Sanderson, you'll love this?
Yeah, I did see that. I thought that was less of a good comparison than Lord of the Rings.
I agree.
Uh,
Because this is not a hard magic system at all.
Yes, yeah. I feel like the writing style is kind of like Sanderson in that it's usually fairly direct, but it's definitely a different writing style too. It's more like I think Chris Wooding does a good job of like setting scenes
Yeah.
pretty quickly and but like very nicely as well.
I liked his dialogue. I felt like he did a really good job of giving each character a unique voice.
Yes.
And just in the way that they spoke in general, like especially characters that aren't from the country and may have a different accent or something. Like one particular character, I felt like he did a really good job in the way that he physically like wrote it out, and you could hear and see like the differences in his speech compared to everyone else. I don't know. I always
Mhm.
appreciate when they do that.
Yes. Yes, if you have read Stormlight, there's a character that is similar to Rock, or that was my comparison for one of the characters in here.
Rock is more wholesome though, but I totally understand.
Yes,
I do.
in terms of like their worldview, at least to some extent. Yeah.
Yes. Oh no, yeah. I get that. I get that. So, yeah, I loved it. I don't know what else I can say really that's not spoilery.
We could talk about the two characters that show up right away. We've got Kade and Aaron, who have like who are boys in a small fishing village, and yeah, what did you think of their relationship?
I at first at first I really disliked Aaron. I hated him so much for the beginning of the book. And then I grew to love him, but I liked the way that their interplay was, and you could really see the difference between Aaron's like station and how he viewed himself as compared to Cade. I feel like Cade was much more like realized and grounded person, and he kind of brought Aaron back down to earth. I don't know if that makes any sense, but Aaron was very full of himself. and Cade kind of humbles him, I think.
Yes. Yeah, I agree. They were definitely from different classes, so I felt like that's a lot where that came from. Um, Aaron was basically in this world. There's like two cultures: the Crodans, who are like the colonizers of the land that we start in, uh, and then there's the Ossians, and Kade and Aaron are both Ossians, but Aaron's born into like this higher household, basically. Like his dad's like one of the most influential people in the town, even though they're like colonized. Um, but like, and then Cade's family, I forget what his dad does.
Is a blacksmith or something like that?
Probably there's always the father is always a blacksmith.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so,
Yeah.
but yeah, the father's like, I don't know, like just a classic blue collar person in a feudal system who like hates the oppressors, but like the
Mm-hmm.
oppressors are like, you can't say anything bad or else like we'll execute you or like whatever. So yeah.
It's very much controlled, like any other colony is, very militarily. Anita wants us to sell the book to her. How to do that without giving anything away? I gave it 5 stars.
Yeah, I think this is like a 5-star book as well. I didn't. It's like a 4.75 for me, I guess.
This book is the platonic ideal of what a fantasy book should be.
Mm.
It is a very like I kind of see what you mean. Um, it's all around good, and it's when you think of like a stereotypical what you would imagine a good fantasy book to be. I can see where you'd get that.
Yes. Yeah, it has a lot of tropes. It's got like coming of age story,
Chosen one,
chosen one, yep, quest. We've got
magical sword thing.
yep, yeah, or like a very powerful object that yeah. And then like an oppressive, you know, all powerful ruler or whatever, or this is more of like an empire, but it
Yeah.
but yeah, if you like the classic fantasy elements, I think this does all those well. And I'm not even like someone who's like, oh yeah, like I want like the most classic of classic fantasy, but I loved it. So yeah.
I agree. I like to think of it as it does have a little bit of Lord of the Rings influence, but because Lord of the Rings is one of the classic fantasy novels, like it's hard to not feel similar to that in any way if you're doing it right. It also feels a little bit, some parts felt like a Dungeons and Dragons campaign, but in like the best way possible. Because you have the party and you have like the different classes and you can see that and feel that. But it wasn't in like a bad, cheesy way, like the Dragon's Bottom Twilight and stuff feel like now. The Dragonlance books.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely like the characters fit into certain archetypes for like D&D or like people you would see in Lord of the Rings. It's like, oh, this person's like Gandalf
The
or
Ranger and
the ranger, yeah. Uh yeah, like there's a ranger, there's like a barbarian, there's a druid, there's like a bard,
it's like
you know.
literally a druid.
There yes. um
Animal companion.
Animal companion, yep. We've got all that sort of stuff. And then but it's not like cliche, or it didn't feel like um and even like when we meet the characters, like meeting the characters doesn't feel like bland or whatever. Because usually in like, oh, there's a quest book. Well, we've got a boy in a small town, and then he meets someone, and something happens, and it changes his life.
A
Uh,
mysterious stranger in a
yeah,
bar.
yes, mysterious stranger in
In
a
the
bar.
corner.
The most common way to introduce a character in D&D. But this doesn't have any like weird introductions like that. It feels more like creative on basically every level, and the characters as well. have their uniqueness to them.
Yeah, I think that one of the cool things is it does feel very familiar, and the characters feel familiar, but they're unique. It's like a like a how do I want to say this?
It's a breath of
security. I don't know how to explain it.
yeah, it's like I agree. It's like a breath of fresh air to like a lot of the standard tropes and
Mm-hmm.
like the standard archetypes of characters.
Yeah. I feel like if it was a different author, I might not have enjoyed it as much because of the way he writes and the way he sets the scenes, like you say. I do think that they work for him. I don't know why he uses the classic trope so much. I think that maybe Wooding was trying to bring back the classic storytelling style, because so many of the fantasy books that are coming out now, the popular ones, they really deviate from the classic feel. Like you don't have the Wheel of Time feel anymore, or the Belgariad or things like that. Everything like Sanderson is really far away from that, and especially like Erickson, like all that stuff feels so different. And then maybe he was just trying to call back to all that. But I think it works. All of it works.
Yeah. Yeah. I felt like even though it was mostly modern tropes, that there's more, or I felt like there was maybe some more like modernness thrown in, like, like the romance felt more modern, I guess, in terms of like the number of people involved, I guess.
Are you saying because it's a love triangle?
Yes.
I don't know if that's spoilery. I don't think you can count saying there's love triangle as being a spoiler.
Yeah. Well,
That's
I
also
said
one
it.
of the classic tropes.
Yes. I feel like there's like less love triangles in classic fantasy. Well, maybe not. I don't know.
Yeah, because there's like more like the damsel in distress, we have to save the princess thing.
Yes.
And usually it's the chosen one who ends up with the princess or whatever. Yeah, right. I mean, a number of people involved. Very nice. Very nice.
Yep.
I didn't hate the love triangle. I usually
Yeah.
hate love triangles. They're usually really cheesy and bad. But I don't know. I felt like because of the relation, I can't say anything else without
Yeah.
it being spoilery. Shoot.
Yeah. There's also like the class dynamic that I mentioned earlier. And in classic fantasy, it would always feel like that like there's a town mayor in Wheel of Time that we meet at first, or in like Aragon, there's like people who have more respect and people who have less respect, but there's never anyone with like huge amounts of power in
Yeah.
terms of or not in the way that like Aaron's dad had, like he had the backing of the colonizing empire,
Mm-hmm.
and like as long as he did what they wanted, he could do whatever he wanted basically, and like he got to like live in, you know, luxury basically.
Yeah, I feel like it was more like the politics and the governing and all of that aspect of the story that really adds to, like, it really does a good job of explaining why the characters do what they're doing. But I think it's definitely more nuanced than it is in most classic fantasy books. And it
Yeah.
goes deeper into those topics of like corruption and things. I
Mm-hmm.
think, especially when you have some characters that are like undermining their higher peoples. This is more spoiler stuff.
Yeah.
Yes, I think you should buy the book. I
Yes.
definitely think you should buy the book. I think people who like fantasy, I think this is like a book that would fairly be universally loved. Just
Yeah,
like
I
not.
feel
Hmm?
I agree. You can continue. Sorry.
Oh, just because I don't think it's not grimdark. It's not like bordering on YA. It doesn't have any of those like complete niche things that a lot of fantasy does. It's not steampunk. It's not flintlock. Isn't that the thing Alan loves? it's just good classic feeling fantasy with a quest. And so I think it could appeal to a lot of people. I also think it would be a good like entry into adult fantasy for someone who's just coming to the age of where they're going to switch from the YA to the adult. I think it would be accessible for someone who's in their teens doing that.
Yeah, definitely. And it reads pretty well as a standalone as well.
I know we've had this conversation. You don't think there needs to be a second book?
I think a second book would be good, but I feel like comfortable having read this, and now I get to chill until Chris Wooding decides to. Actually, do we know when the sequel's coming out?
He finished.
Oh, when?
I did it on Twitter.
Oh, okay.
He said when. I'm gonna try Googling.
Okay. Yeah. Well, that's good. You won't even have to wait too long for the sequel.
I know.
But yeah, I agree. It's like the fantasy lovers fantasy book, in terms of having like being the middle ground. It's got like some grimdark stuff, but it's definitely not grimdark enough to put anyone off. But I don't know, like Garrick or
Garrick.
Yeah, or like one of the characters has like a scar on his neck that, which is grimdark. Some of the villains are kind of grimdarkish, but yeah, I don't know, but it's definitely not like, it's not even like Abercrombie levels of grimdark, I don't think.
The violence is spread out enough that some of the cruelty, when you read it, it was surprising to me. I wasn't like ready for it because he would just drop it on you and it would be very like sudden and then it would be gone. Like he didn't like stay there and make characters like go over and over what had happened in their head or anything like that. It was, this is what happened. Our characters are dealing with it. We're moving on. And it was kind of rough in some parts, but
yeah.
I liked that.
What was that?
Oh no, I kind of liked it that it was jarring a bit because I wasn't expecting it.
Yes. Yeah, I think it definitely has, if I guess if you want like something really fast paced, like you said, like the violence and stuff is kind of spread out and some of the action is, but so this isn't like super fast paced in my opinion, but yeah, I agree that like there's like some like serious loss in this book and some serious like emotion, and I think in like any sort of revolution against a all-powerful colonial empire, it feels almost unrealistic if there's not any of that aspect, if there's no loss or no tragedy or anything.
Yeah, and I like that we have some characters that are pretty morally gray. Not like, we're not talking like Galacta morally gray, but not everything is sunshine and roses, and the like colonizing empire stuff really like affects the characters, and you see how that has different ramifications in their lives, and they all have different backstories. And so it was interesting to see how everything affected the different people in different ways. I just think that he did a really good job all around. There were characters, so many different types of characters. Like I said, he gave them great voices, and they all had their like little quirks. I have a favorite character. I think you have the same favorite character that I do. I think everybody loves this character.
Yeah, yes. There's one character that is particularly entertaining on every level.
I laughed so much reading some of their lines. I didn't annotate, but if I did, it would probably mostly be things that he said.
Yes. Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, but yeah, I definitely agree in terms of like the characters and their motives and going through the world. And I always get like reminded of nonfiction books when reading stuff. So like and this reminds me. I'm reading Nelson Mandela's autobiography, and it kind of reminds me of the struggle in South Africa in some ways, where you've got like the ANC, or the African National Congress, which has different people in it, and they have different views on like nonviolence, and like most of them are nonviolent, but even like within the nonviolence, there's like different thoughts about, should we be nonviolent for moral reasons, or should we be nonviolent for practical reasons? Or and then when they start like thinking about uh, if there's like should be a more militant aspect to their group, it's like, okay, well there, and then like when Mandela started reading about like militant revolutions and stuff, there were like distinctions between sabotage, like guerrilla army stuff, and then like terrorism and like outright warfare, and like the characters in this book displayed a lot of those sorts of differences of opinion on different things, and even some of the motives of the characters. It's like, does this character want, are they speaking for the people, or are they speaking for their own personal revenge?
Yeah.
And like yeah, I just thought it was great all around, the characters in the Ember Blade.
We didn't even discuss, like, on top of just the revolution and the possible revolution and the colonization of the Ossians, there are other like races, not even just like humans, but other creatures that have been taken over by the Crotons. You find that out. I don't feel like that's spoilery, but it's like these are conquerors that have already conquered and killed off other races, and now they're moving on to their human counterparts. And I just thought that added a really cool level. I mean, you get into that further in the book, but do we need to move to spoiler territory now?
Should we? Yeah.
I think so, maybe. I do agree. There weren't parts. We had to like split it up via chapters.
Yeah, I felt like this was like a very classic 3-act structure, which I talked about in the Discord, in terms of, and it like that's more of a classic fantasy thing as well.
Are we in spoiler territory now?
I should put up the banner. Are we kicking Anitha out?
We're not kicking you out, but we would hate to spoil anything for you because we want you to make your own opinions on the characters without our influence, so we can tell. So when you tell us that you love this particular character, we know it wasn't because of us.
Yes. Yeah, and also I've been hearing, this is like a side tangent, but I've been hearing a lot about Anthony Ryan, and I haven't read any of his stuff, but like I feel like just from what I've heard, he sounds like he writes similar to Chris Wooden. I don't know if that's a accurate thing.
Bye, Anita.
Bye, Anita.
I have Bloodsong and I haven't read it yet, and I have The Pariah, and shocker, I haven't read it yet. But I've heard nothing but good things about Bloodsong. I have been warned, though, that the other 2 books in the trilogy cannot hold a candle to the first one. So we'll see.
Indeed. Well,
yeah, it's on my list. Yay, spoilers now.
Spoilers.
So the 3-act setting, you have like the beginning when you have Aaron and Cade and they get taken, the inciting action, and then when they're in the work camp, and then they have the escape. And then I feel like it switches over when they get to the place that we can't remember the name
of. The Mines of Moria or whatever.
Yeah, it's the Mines of Moria over, except for up in the sky and yes. not underground. That's where I first felt like the Lord of the Rings influence was at that point. I was like, this feels familiar, especially with like the creepy creatures and like the spirits and stuff.
Yeah,
they never really explained what they're. Stavengard, thank you.
Yes,
yes, Stavengard. That thing.
They're taking the hobbits to Stavengard.
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious. That totally works. Oh my god.
Or Stavengard, maybe. That would be.
I've said Stavengard. I don't know. It could be any of it.
Yeah.
Stavengard.
Stavengard sounds more like Isengard. So.
Yes. They're taking the party to Stavengard.
Mm-hmm.
The rebels to Stavengard. One of those.
Yeah.
I feel like there's so much you could talk about this book, though. But Grub is my favorite character.
Grub, yes, meeting Grub in prison.
Grub is the best in his chicory root cigarettes and his everything. I love Grub.
Yeah.
His commentary when he like narrates his own stuff. He's like, nobody asked Grub about this.
Yes. Grub definitely has a chip on his shoulder a bit when with statements like that. It's pretty funny. And like he like stabs people. He's very violent, Grub. Very much not like Rock, who is the comparison. That's like the biggest difference, I guess.
I loved Grub. And then they did a good job of when you find out Grub's backstory, and then you're like, oh no, what's he gonna do? Is he gonna be evil? Is he gonna betray everyone? Like, is he only out to help himself? And I think I was messaging you when I was reading the part near the end of the book, when the very Star Wars-esque, when the walls are closing in on them, he's like, hand me the Ember blade. And you're like, no, don't give it to him because he's going to run away with it. And then he shoves it in the cogs and he's just like, you told me it was indestructible. And I thought that was just I felt so worried. And then I felt upset at myself for doubting him.
Yeah, when he put it in the cog, that was awesome. And it was like halfway through the book because like originally we meet him and we're like, all right, this guy's a badass. We should probably stay away from him, Aaron. What are you doing? Stop talking to this guy. But then he's like helpful and like and then we realize how funny this guy is. And it's like, oh, like maybe he's a good guy. But then like I forget when exactly in the book, but we get a Grub POV and he's like, all these dumb, what did he call like these people? He was like, these dumb people think I can't lie, but I can lie to them. I just can't lie to my own people.
Yes.
And then I'm like, oh shoot, is he just full of crap?
Yes. Because the way that Whitting writes him and stuff, you're like, okay, this guy's not very intelligent. He's the dumb barbarian character. And then you're like, oh crap, maybe he's not that dumb. We've been underestimating him just like the rest of the party has been. What is he going to do? Ugh.
Yes, that would have been brutal. Also, yes, it could have gone the other way.
I'm glad that he didn't either. But, like, could he in the future? Are we safe from that in the future? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either. And, like, wasn't Cade, like, his best friend, too? Even after Cade died, he was still with the party and stuff.
Mm-hmm. He called him dumb face or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Dumb face, and he had some other word for Aaron. I can't remember, but
yep.
Cade's death. I don't for 1 second think he's actually dead. We did not see a body.
That's true. That's true. People said that in Discord, and I had a mind exploding moment. Is Cade alive? Is Cade not alive? I don't know, but that scene was still brutal.
Yeah, it was really sad. Not to go back to the Lord of the Rings thing, but it made me think of when Gandalf is hanging off the edge in Khazad-dûm, and he's like, "Fly, you fools!" Only Aaron's like, "I'm not gonna leave you," and Cade's like, "But I'm gonna leave you," and then falls. It was very like Lord of the Rings meets like Scar throws Mufasa off type thing. Like, it was good.
Yes.
And I felt sad, but then you couldn't feel sad because they had to run. And then they gut punched you a second time with Orica.
Yes. Yeah.
That was rough. Mm-hmm. I was not expecting Orica to die. I wasn't expecting him to kill her like that. Especially like just when she and What's-His-Face had like their like moment and stuff.
Yes. Yeah, I forget that guy's name. It was
Look it up.
the bodyguard or whatever. Yeah.
Yes. You really liked him.
Yeah, no, he was cool. Like I thought he was like really boring at first, but then he became, you know, a very very cool dude.
Herod.
Herod? Yeah.
Yeah. Harod. Herod.
Yes. Yeah, he was like very soft spoken. I don't know. Very cool though. And what's her name? O-
Orca.
Orica, yes. I grew to like her a lot towards the end as well because the awesome board game scene or whatever. It was the best board.
That was the other lady. That was like Maria or whatever her name was.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yes, yeah, she made the distraction for Aurea. Yes, Maria was the one who owned the school.
She was like the inventor who couldn't like get her inventions made, and so she let another guy take all the credit so that her invention could help people. And what was it? It was like prosthetics.
Yes,
With legs.
yeah, I believe so. Yeah.
It was fantasy chess, and every fantasy board game is fantasy chess. Can someone write something that's not chess, please? Because chess is, I'm sorry, people who like chess. Chess is boring all the time. Okay, boring all the time.
Wait, let's see if I had it. Okay, so there's this board game called Battle Lore, and let's see if that's sideways.
That's upside down.
No.
That's completely upside down. Is this a new one?
I've had this for a while, but I've only played it once. But it's a 2-player game, and it's kind of like fantasy chess, where if you're at home on a computer, you can like pull this up and you'll see what I'm talking about, where like the board has hexes and there's like rivers and stuff, and like reading that scene reminded me so much of Battle Lore.
Is it chess or is it like a mix of Risk and chess together?
So it's like chess with dice kind of. It's kind of like a miniatures game.
Ameritrash chess.
Yeah, Ameritrash chess. Yep, exactly. It would take 5 hours to set up. It doesn't take too long.
No, any other type of game. You could figure out something other than chess, though. Make it more interesting than chess. But it was still a really good scene, and it was like girl power, and mic drop moment.
Yes.
At the end, it was great. It was great to see her take him down. I like her. She's plucky, and we only got her for like the last third of the book. I'm glad she's gonna be with the party from now on.
Yeah, I hope she sticks around. It was like chapter 70 where they're randomly in a school setting, and I'm like, oh, this is the one trope we didn't have. Here we are, I guess. We're hitting all the boxes.
Yeah. What is this? And I'm not gonna lie, so you know that I'm bad occasionally at not looking at the.
You click the boxes when you have not read the parts. The horror.
Sometimes. And I saw your post about why are we in a school right now? And so going into that part, I was like, Aaron and Cait are going to go to school, and I don't know why. So that's what I was like preparing myself for, not what actually happened.
Yeah, see, this is why you don't click on the spoilers. You get confused, and
nothing big has been ruined for me yet. Though I am playing like spoiler roulette, looking at the Jaguar stuff. So I stopped.
Yes. Yep.
What are your favorite characters?
Yes.
Because it's definitely Grub.
Yeah. Okay. So Grub has to get like exited from this favorite character conversation because Grub is awesome.
Who else did I really love? I mean, I really liked Garrick. Can we talk about Garrick and Aaron's relationship? Because it was I think it was really well crafted, and the emotion, at the end, like when Aaron's going to sell him out and Garrick like kind of fakes him out and gives him that like opportunity to prove himself, and you don't know it because you're in Aaron's head, and
Yes.
oh, when he cries, I got teary. I got so teary at that part in this book. It was so good. So good.
That was a crazy scene. Garrick went kind of Joker mode at the end too. He wanted to blow everything up or whatever. But yeah, that scene with Aaron was crazy. And what was the guy's name who
Keel.
Gil? Yeah.
Keel. Keel.
Keel.
Like a keel of a ship.
Oh, okay. Gil, yeah.
Keel. I was not
okay.
prepared.
With a K.
But when you said like consequences of their actions and like how they behave, how their behavior changes because of what's going on with the Crotons, you really see that in Keel with his family and with the situation that he's put himself in and then kind of lost control of with his son and everything. And you understand how he got to that point, but it's almost like I felt like more loyalty towards him and Garrick. I didn't want him to sell Garrick out. I was really, really, really shocked when that happened because, you think Garrick's safe because, Aaron didn't decide to do it. And then crap, Keel did it. And then I thought he was going to go and try to be with his family again. And so that scene, I was not ready for that scene. I kept looking for more. Like I thought we were going to come back to Keel. I thought someone was going to come in the door or he was going to change his mind or something. But like that was it. And that was one of the brutal moments I was talking about where I wasn't really like, that was a more dark thing that I wasn't expecting.
Yes. Yeah, that was brutal. And I felt like, we got good perspective, even though like we weren't expecting it, but once it happened, we kind of could see how it happened, or I could see how it happened. Best characters, all the adults.
Yeah. I still don't particularly care for Aaron, but he got better once he got over his bad self.
Yeah.
And
I actually liked Aaron because they're so like he's like whatever the upper class of the town he grew up in, and then the what?
He's a light eyes.
He's a light eyes. Yes, that's true. And then there's but like he like grows throughout the book, and he like gets a lot of other perspectives, and then and then there's the bully from the hometown or whatever that shows up at the end as like what is he at the end?
Oh, the guy who killed his dad.
Yeah, that guy's there.
He didn't actually kill him. Are you talking about the guy who's like the imperial what's his face like in charge, or the guy who's like under him who's like freaking crazy psychopath
guy? I forget. Like wasn't there was the bully from like the hometown that bullied Cade, right? And then did he show up at the end? I can't even remember.
I don't think so.
Okay.
I told you needed to read the Spark Notes version. It's my fault. It's my fault that Greg has forgotten everything. For once, we can't blame Greg for something. This is my fault because he finished in September like I was supposed to, and then school happened, and it took way too long for me to finish.
I need this in writing. It is never my fault.
Now you have it on video.
Yep, that's true.
Once.
Yep. Well, I now have the sound clip, so I can play it whenever.
Yeah. Are you going to make a GIF about it? This is not Greg's fault.
Yes.
So you have like the evil people. So you have the Crotons, and I hate the Crotons, obviously. And then there's the whole religious aspect that we didn't even talk about yet.
Yeah.
I don't know why I have all this energy. I'm sorry. But you have the Crotons and you have the guy who kind of, he didn't give me like Galacta vibes, but I felt sort of like the Inquisitor sort of thing where he goes and he's supposed to be in charge of like ferreting out the people that are disloyal to the Croton Empire that are Ossian. And you have him and he has a family and a wife and you like see that. And I wasn't expecting that because it gives him a bit more like of a human aspect. He's not just this like evil dude. And then there's like his crony underneath him who is the one who like really just wants to kill Aaron. And he's the one who killed his dad, I think. The one who like pulled his sword out and like just gutted him.
Mm-hmm. Is that the guy who bullied Cade at the beginning of the book when they were like kids or whatever? Because Cade had like flashbacks, right? And I can't. For some reason, my brain is saying that they're the same person, but maybe not.
I don't know. But the guy who's like the Inquisitor dude, like the higher level guy, he worked with Aaron's dad. And so like he thought he was friendly.
Mm-hmm.
The Inquisitor and his sidekick, yes.
Yeah. Different bully. Oh, okay.
I thought that the bullies were the girls' brothers.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
The first romance.
Yes.
The romance in this book. The beginning felt very like classic fantasy romance, and I kind of liked that they did that, and then they made her awful, and she was like Cho Chang and told on him and whatever, and so then their adventure all starts, and she's the reason why. I'm surprised Aaron doesn't have any like trauma about women because of that. Like, I can't trust you because that's why my dad died. But
it becomes like an incel or whatever.
Oh God. Oh no. But Fen, I liked Fen. I was like, you're kind of bland in the beginning. And then once after the scene in Stavengard where they're in that like torture room, do you know what I'm talking about? Where they have to like stay overnight in there to protect themselves from the big beast thing.
Mm-hmm.
And she like starts telling Kate and Aaron about like her dad and all the stuff that happened. I was like, this girl is cool. And she just really like grew, and I really like her character. And I feel like the love triangle wouldn't have gotten bad even if Kate didn't die. Because I feel like he could see her and Aaron, and like he was starting to get that, I think.
Yeah. I feel like it would have been fine in the end. It was just a teenager moment or whatever.
It is terrible flirting.
Yeah. Oh, Cade's flirting was hilarious. I gotta love Cade. He like certainly puts the effort in. I didn't mind that they were young. I know Master Sal didn't like or whatever. Can I find the message?
Yeah, I hate when leads are young for no reason.
Yes.
I liked that they were young too, because I think younger characters, you get more room to grow in some ways with their like personalities, and it makes more sense for someone who's younger who goes through things like this to have drastic changes in how they treat people and personalities and stuff like that, as opposed to like a Dalinar aged adult type thing person.
Mm-hmm.
Like yeah. I feel like they're less, not pliable. Pliable is a bad term, but as far as like a character that you can write goes, I feel like you can do more with younger people.
Yeah, they definitely haven't cemented their worldview. Yeah, love triangles all in boys' heads, which amuses me. Yeah, what's her name? Fen was not really in a romantic mood. She was in the revolutionary mood. But I guess from like Aaron's perspective, like I felt like they had good heart to hearts and stuff, and like yeah, like how I don't know if it was or wasn't like in his head or whatever, but
I think he was trying not to like her because he knew Cade liked her, and then he like could not help himself in a certain way.
yeah, kind of. Yeah, part of it happened before Cade told Aaron that he liked her, and then Aaron was in like a tough spot, I felt like, because it's like, oh, like this person just like confessed like all these childhood traumas that she like wasn't generally comfortable talking about clearly, and then it's like, oh, okay, like I don't know, like it might not be a romantic thing, but they definitely had like at least a camaraderie of sorts.
Yeah, it was an intimacy that you get when you share things about yourself with another person that you don't share with other people. They felt close, and Erin was like a safe person for Fen because she was afraid to trust people because her dad left her to die pretty much, which was like the worst backstory ever.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, that was a like crazy thing. He left her in the woods or whatever,
he
like
like
10
threw her
miles.
off the cliff,
Yeah.
like left her to die, and
Yeah,
then
when
like
he was very injured.
went and killed himself. I only assume that's what happened. And she say he just like walked into the forest and never came back.
Mm-hmm.
But her backstory is screwed up too. And Garrick's, we don't even know. I feel like we're gonna find out though, and I can't believe neither of you realized this. I cannot believe it. But the trilogy is called the where is it? Where is it?
Oh, jeez.
Why is it not on the front of the book? Maybe that's
Yeah, that's probably why I didn't see it.
the Dark Water Legacy.
The
Book
Dark
one of the
Water.
Dark Water Legacy. And
Oh, yeah, there it is.
his name is Cadric Darkwater. Like that's his real, or Cadric of Darkwater. Like that's Garrick's name, like his birth name. And so I'm wondering like what that has to do with everything. For the longest time, I thought that Aaron was related to Garrick somehow. Like maybe he was his mom's brother or something like that, or like I thought there was actual relation.
Yeah, I figured like something like that might happen. So someone's always related to someone in these books, aren't they?
I do tend to get the stuff when I am the Oracle.
Mm-hmm.
I see all the tiny little things. And I put them all
Yes.
together. There's just nothing to prophesize about from this book because, as you said, it was tidied up at the end.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's definitely potential for Oracle in later books and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, yeah, of Darkwater. So that's actually it's also interesting that they said their names in that way, because it's like, oh, that's how Native Americans like introduce themselves, like their name and then like where they're from.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like it adds to like the more allegorical sort of colonial vibes, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I really like I liked when they were like escaping the bombing and everything, and how they went underground to the true Mines of Moria part.
Yeah.
Where they see all the sculptures and the tunnels that were built by was it the Urds? Is that what they're called? The
I don't
Urds?
remember.
Some sort of non-human creatures that had this big society that was on the earth, and they were wiped out by the Crodans, and everybody thought that they were like monsters, like not very developed and all this sorts of stuff. And that was just propaganda from the Crodans, probably because it seemed like they had a rich culture and could do like had stone masonry and all sorts of stuff where they could make all those things, and it just seemed like their society was a lot more advanced than anyone gave them credit for, and I'm assuming that's because of the Crodans erasing history.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, erasing and then taking credit, which is the
Mm-hmm.
colonizer playbook 101. But yeah, what did you guys think of the druid? I was not a big fan of the druids when we met them. I thought like their parts were or like I don't know, they didn't connect with me right away, but I like them more towards the end. And yeah, you disagree.
I love Vika. I like Vika a lot, and I love Rock. And I think that her powers, like the way that because she doesn't have like normal magic powers. She can use the potions and stuff and brew things, and those will give her like powers, I guess, but they also have an effect on everyone else in the party. And then when she actually does use like straight up magic, it's like channeled from the gods or whatever it is that she speaks with,
Mm-hmm.
spirits
Yeah.
up there, and they like channel through her, and that's how she has magic. So I like that it wasn't like, oh, I'm gonna point my finger and something's gonna happen. I liked her potions and everything, and I loved Ruck. Ruck was the best. Ruck was really cute, and yeah.
The hologram dog.
Oh my god.
Yeah, yeah, the dog was cool, and yeah, were the gods called the aspects, or was
Yes, the
yeah,
aspects.
yeah,
Yes.
they and they we didn't like, or I don't remember if we got like all that stuff fleshed out too
No.
well, or how important that'll be later on.
I feel like it's like the overarching thing. Like I feel like in the present, like the immediate issue is the Crotons and like taking over Asia and the Ember Blade and all that sorts of stuff. And then in the background is all this stuff with like the spirits that have been trapped. Do you remember that?
A
Like
little bit, but I didn't know what was going on really.
like demon things and stuff. It reminded me of in Hercules how Zeus like traps them like in the bottom of the ocean under this like thing, and that's how he keeps all of the what are they called? The volcano guy and the ice guy and stuff. And that's what it made me think of. Like they have these evil demon spirit gods like trapped somewhere, and they're like starting to like break out and get out. And I think that that's like the big bad evil thing that's going to happen like at the end of the series or whatever that they're going to have to fight. And maybe the Ossians will have to work with the Crotons to survive that.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
then have that would be interesting if that happens. There's my my prediction conspiracy theory for the day, I guess.
Yeah, that would be an interesting subplot where the kind of like Croton supremacists, there's like that faction to the Crotons, and then there's like the people in the society who are more open to being like more like egalitarian or accepting of other cultures and like more integrated and like less supremacist or whatever.
Mhm.
So that could be a way to like, open up the society to, freedom of religion and, just like basic liberal values or whatever. And not even like left liberal, just like, First Amendment liberal, like.
That a lot of people don't have right now in this story. I don't even think the Crotons have it all the way.
Yeah, yeah. Well, yeah, I don't think they can say anything bad about the emperor or whatever. And
Or the oh, sorry.
yeah, we haven't even talked about the empire structure or anything. Is that like a boy or the emperor's like young, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
His because the person getting married was the prince.
I think so. I can't even remember the family tree.
I don't even because it was not really that important, I guess.
Yeah, they were just going for the blade the whole time.
Yeah, and Garrick just wanted to kill all of the noble people that he could because he felt like raising them to ground and starting new would be what needed to be done, because if you only took out one of them, what's the point? Someone else is just going to replace them.
Yeah.
But he was young. I thought he was like 16 or something like that. Maybe older. He was in the room when Orica played, which Orica's song was awesome.
Yes.
Her own little like defiant thing that she did.
Yeah, that was great how she stepped forward and the prince didn't get it right away or whatever.
Yeah, the police force is the Inquisitor. There's a lot of like military stuff going on. It was very much a military state. The Crodans.
Yes, definitely.
I like your oh, I like talking about the government stuff because I find it intriguing, but I'm not as eloquent about it as you are. You know
Go
all the
for it.
words. You have all of the words, as Donald Trump would say.
I've got the best words. No one has better words, and I'm very humble as well.
Yes, you are. We just discerned that earlier. You said you were going to do a Russian accent. You were going to do a grub accent.
Oh shoot.
You promised.
Oh boy, I don't even know. Like I forget the nickname. That would be very good in a Russian accent.
Grub's nickname
Or
or
no, Grub's nickname for like everyone.
oh shoot. I'm gonna look it up. I'm gonna let you think. I'll let you think about your accent. You don't have to do it right now. I so the last book that I read that had, I mean, outside of the Hod King and like the Tower of Babel, like those books have their own like conversation about government and things like that. But the last book that I read that really stuck with me that like centers around that is Fireborn. I think you'll like Fireborn. But that's different in the sense that this is after the revolution happens and after they gain back control of what was taken from them. And I'm wondering what would happen if the Ossians got were able to separate from the Crodans, if they even got their land back or anything. Like, how would their society be? Would they be able to survive again? Would they be able to have their own structure? Or because they've been taken over by the Crodans, would they be dependent on them? And like what Garrick was talking about, the reason why, he didn't have any faith in actually getting the Ember Blade and actually having that do anything is because he didn't think that the people would be willing to fight for what was theirs, because they've given up because of everything that the Crodans have done to them.
Yeah, Garrick was definitely pretty doomer about what the people could do. And yes, no, boo, delete comments, boo.
Yes. Sorry, what you said was not laughable. That comment was, though.
Once you started laughing, I'm like, no, she saw the comments. But yeah, I don't know if I forget what you said now. Exactly.
I was talking about what would happen if Asya got to detangle themselves from the Crodans. Like what would happen to their people? Would they be able to recreate like a governing structure? Would they even be able to survive because they've become dependent on the Crodans? And would the people even want to do that? Because that's what Garrick was afraid of. That's why his whole plan the whole time was to explode everything instead of actually getting the Ember Blade, because he didn't feel like the people would fight for what was theirs.
Yeah.
Because the social stratification, and you see that with Aaron and his family versus Cade's. People who live and are within the like level of Cade's family would be more willing to fight against the Crodans, where you have all of these people like Aaron's father who are the Light Eyes, or who have been like promoted by the Crodans and treated well and given mansions, and also like basically being treated like they're Crodans, but also not. They're in this like weird state that the Crodans are using them to control the Ossians by giving them like a false sense of superiority and more like goods and stuff and power, even though they really don't actually have any power. So you would have all those people. Would they even want to fight against the Crodans? Because they're kind of in a good spot now, and they would be giving up all of that for war and death and stuff.
Yes. Yeah. And like Aaron's dad did, but like a lot of them probably wouldn't, or they're probably comfortable. or they know like maybe if there is a full-on revolution, they, like the lower class would come for them because they're like the powerful, even though they're Aussians or whatever.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, I think the Aussians were kind of more tribal. Like it didn't talk too much about their life before, although they did have like a queen as well, or a
Oh,
king who had the Ember Blade. So
yeah, that awesome. It was a woman. Oh, I
so
think
yeah, the governing structure would probably go back to like whoever has the Ember Blade has power, and we don't really know exactly what that was like.
no, we don't want Aaron to run a country.
You know what? I feel like Aaron, he's young now, but he's on a path that isn't horrible for like someone to run a country in 10 years. Like,
He was giving me Giselle vibes in the beginning, and now he's
look, no, he was never as bad as Giselle. Um, but yeah, I can see that, I guess. He was definitely very like girl centered, I guess, and Giselle is kind of like that. But like I don't know. When you're upper class and young and you meet someone that you like or whatever, I don't know. That's what happens. All right. Master Sal is asking
Ooh,
questions as well.
prediction. Aaron will give up the blade to Cade, who comes back from the dead.
That is a good one.
That is
Cade
a good one.
Cade would also be on a good leader, I think, if he were on like he's on a different path than Aaron to get to become a good leader, I think. But yeah.
Yeah. I think Cade will go through some sort of transformation because he'll have died or almost died. And I wonder if there'll be some sort of like divine intervention um from like one of the aspects or something, because he was always devout to the aspects where Aaron like started worshiping the Croton gods. The one that felt very Christian like to be.
Yes. Yeah, they had a monotheist. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, it felt very like Christian versus like um sort of like a Greek god type
Yeah.
pantheon thing. But yeah, I think that that would be a pretty cool thing. I want Cade to come back. I don't think he's dead. I don't think he's gonna come back and be evil though, because sometimes when like characters you love die and then they come back to life, they end up on the other side. I don't think anything would ever make Cade be on the side of the Crotons.
Yeah, no way. Yeah.
Oh no,
Um
hiccups.
hiccups, yep. Um yeah, so
Ooh, yes. You can
yeah.
go back to the economic stuff.
I can't stop hiccuping. Okay. Yeah, so book is this going to be a trilogy?
I
Did it
don't
say?
I don't know.
Or is it more open-ended than that? I mean, if it's classic, it's might probably be a trilogy if like that's what he's going for.
That's like sort of Shannara Lord of the Rings trilogy thing. It says
Yeah.
book one of the Darkwater Legacy.
Yeah, mine doesn't even say book 1, it just says Darkwater Legacy the Ember Blade.
Wait, in the front there?
Yeah, it doesn't say book 1, it just says
Really? Show me.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, it does on the right. I was looking over here.
I was gonna say, how is it different than mine?
Yeah, yeah. So in terms of like this book 2 prediction, yeah, maybe I feel like this has more echoes of like kind of like unifying a culture, like or unifying the opposition to like the oppressors, I guess. Um kind of like an Aussian nationalism to counter the Croatan nationalism, I guess. Um and like you
What were did you post something about that? Nationalism versus imperialism on
um
Discord a while ago?
I probably did. In the Mandela book I was talking about um like nationalism. It was kind of very similar to this nationalism among the colonized being like a force for potential good, like uniting the colonies to found um like the United States, that's like a form of like nationalism, because like they're separate colonies with like very different identities, but like when they come together, it's like, okay, we're together, we're fighting against these oppressors. And then, but like where nationalism is bad, obviously, is if the oppressors are like some like imaginary like ethnic group or religious group or something. And then it's like, oh, these are the evil ones. It just has no basis in reality, obviously. But
Um,
yeah.
sorry. That's what it was. You posted a quote, and it was about nationalism being the answer to imperialism.
Yes.
That's
Yeah,
what.
it can be. Yeah.
Mhm.
Or colonialism. Yeah.
I mean, because the term nationalism isn't bad in of itself, like you said. I do think that this next book is going to be them going from place to place, trying to rally people together, um, trying to get a rebellion, get an army. I don't know what the Crotons will be doing in the next book, but
Yeah.
I could see that.
Yeah. I
This
keep
I don't.
I keep coming back to this message because there could be some like inter rebellion fighting that leads to some failures, and then like some coming togethers in the end, hopefully, maybe.
Maybe there'll be someone who rises up and says, "I deserve to be the one to carry the Ember blade. This child doesn't because he's the son of a traitor or some I don't know, something like that." Um, Greg posts a lot of long, complicated posts, so who knows?
It's true. True story.
I feel like there's so much we didn't talk about. There's so many different like aspects to the story that you can, no pun intended. Like the whole beginning when they're in like the work camp and the kid the we didn't even talk about the allegory to the Jews that's in the story.
Yeah,
There's the ghetto where all the sards are kept, and the sards are very much like gypsies. So like I really related to them because my family's gypsy and I had family members who were like accosted during the Holocaust and stuff because they also went after gypsies. And so it was very much like that. And there was that kid in the beginning who like lived in the camp but like disappeared at will and like gave him that magic mark.
yes, which he showed to the person later on or whatever.
Orca, yeah.
Orica, yes.
And
Yeah.
that's how she ended up like with them because she trusted him because he was a Sard friend.
Yes. Yeah, there was definitely like they the Sards kept, it felt like they kept getting exiled from everywhere and like blamed for everything. So yeah,
They're the
definitely
Gregs of the book.
the what?
The Gregs of the book.
The yes. I'm getting holocausted in my own
Oh
Discord.
my god. Well, maybe we shouldn't make Holocaust jokes this bad.
Yes, too far, too far.
Too far, Greg, too far. Do your grub impression. I gotta change the subject. Um, yeah, the little kid made me sad because I think his mother was there, like, and his mother died, and he was like left there
Hmm.
to fend for himself, and like he didn't want to go with him. He didn't want to escape, which was kind of sad. Um, I want to go. I want to learn more about the Scarls and Grub's people.
Yes.
Um,
Yeah, there will have to be like a uniting of, because like the Skarls didn't really trust the Ossians from what we saw at all, and Grubb's people were more separated. I think had the Crotons conquered them yet? Really?
no, I don't
I
think
don't think
the
they did either.
Scarls have been. I think they're like left alone because they're considered like barbarians and maybe not like worth taking over. I don't think that they have a lot of land either. In my mind, and maybe it's not correct, but I just imagine them living in like an Iceland sort of like islands farther away because he had to sail in a ship to get there and like to go off on his adventures to go earn his tattoos and things.
Yeah. So yeah, it's kind of like that, but it's more like Norway. So or like Scandinavia, where we've got like this inland sea, or not inland sea, but like large, you know, bay or whatever, Mediterranean Sea like thing, except the one to the north. What is it? The Baltic Sea?
Oh, the Baltic Sea, yes.
Yes. Yeah. So Grub is from the north and everyone else is in the south, and the book takes place in the south. Like
Oh,
south.
Haro at the top, right here. That's where there's nothing. That's where Herod is from. He's like royalty from there. And he gave up his like seat to the throne or whatever because he wanted to go with Orca.
Interesting.
Master Sal brings back a very good point, and that is that Aaron made that bargain with that guy in the work camp. And if we don't think that's going to come and bite him in the ass, totally is.
That's true. Yeah, the one free favor or whatever it is.
Yes, anything, any free favor. And that was to save Cade's life, to save them all so that they could escape.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh, yeah, I agree. The Codex Alera is... It's good. I don't hate the Codex Alera, but it's not very subversive in a good way like this book is. Also, that's why I keep saying Marat when we're talking about the books of Babel. I keep saying the Marat because the like evil invading force in the Codex Alera is the Marat, and they're like the people, and so I keep mixing up in my head. Yeah, it was sadder than I thought. I know there are other things I want to talk about, but I can't remember what they are.
Yep. Well, we've been going for an hour and 10 minutes, so
I know.
Probably a good place to stop.
But not until you do your Grub impression.
Oh, geez.
You're not going to get
out of it. Tell me a page that has a good Grub line. I'll look as well.
Why did I not say Benny?
I don't know. Let's see.
Mara was her name. She was the awesome lady with the chess.
Yes.
Oh, we'll go to the end to when
Oh shoot! I just saw his name.
I love when Grub figures out that thing is the key to the vault, and everyone's like, "How the hell did you figure that out?"
Yeah, that was awesome. Mudslug, yes.
Mudslug, yes, that's it. Mudslug.
Mudslug no understand how to use key. Grub has key. Mudslug wouldn't have realized this was key.
Yes.
In Mother Russia, Mudslug would be put in gulag for his impotence.
Mudslug put in gulag. In Soviet Russia, gulag take you.
Yep.
It was really good book. I have like spaghetti brain, which is why usually when I review books, I write like a semi bullet pointed plan because my brain just goes everywhere, as evidenced tonight.
Yes. Yep.
I'm very disorganized. I apologize, people.
Yes, there was no organization here, which is fine. It was fun anyway, and thank you for talking about.
The one thing we didn't talk about was your feelings about Aaron and Cade's relationship, and I'm sorry there are sirens.
Oh,
the big deal.
Aaron and Cade, yeah, I liked it because a lot of times we get the start of a book and it's like the son of a blacksmith and the son of a sheep herder or something, and
you mean the beginning of the Wheel of Time?
Yes. Yeah, and like the son of an innkeeper, and it's like and they're at like the same like societal whatever level of relevance and importance or whatever, or at least you know, but like Kade and Aaron right away, they had the different sort of like that. There were some things that were just awkward for them to talk about, and it was interesting to see like Aaron see the world in a different way, especially when they went to the prison, and then Cade actually kind of became not the one with like more power, but he had more influence among like the prisoners to some extent. So yeah, I liked that.
And Cade being willing to give up in the prison too, because he felt like Aaron had something to live for, but he didn't have anything to live for, and he just wanted to be done.
Yes.
Don't forget the flirting with the nurse too.
Flirting with the nurse. That was, dude. I want random nurse A to come back into the story.
Oh my god. I think. Did you mean pair with this?
Yeah. What else would I pair with this? In terms of like a nonfiction book.
Yeah, to like anything about colonization and
I'm trying to think. Like, I don't even know. Yeah, pair. Yeah, I don't know. The maybe like just anything anti-colonial, I guess, is fine. And definitely like um yeah, I don't know. It doesn't have to be nonfiction. Oh, okay. That broadens it.
oh,
I don't know. What would I pair with this?
Ember Blade.
I feel like people who like this, I feel like would like the Black Coast just because in terms of like Kade and Aaron and like the different societal like levels of influence and views on um, just things like that is in the Black Coast certainly.
And you have like the religious stuff because the people who come to the mainland, they have their own religion and their own beliefs, and it's very like it butts heads with the religion and culture of the mainland.
Yes.
That's very reminiscent of what's happening with the Ossians and the Crotons, but that wasn't the focus of this story, where it's more of a focus in the Black Coast, especially with like the language barrier and stuff, and this man thinks
Yes. Yeah.
this woman.
But that was fun. I'm looking up this book that Sal put in the description.
Oh, the Science of Shannara. It's Terry Brooks, man. Have you ever read any Terry Brooks?
I have not.
The Sword of Shannara is like another like very classic fantasy book. Like when I think of classic fantasy, I think of Lord of the Rings, the Sword of Shannara, and the Belgariad. In real time, I guess, but
yeah.
What about me? What would I? Yeah, the Black Coast is really good. What would I pair with this? What would I say people would like? I can't go walk into my room with all my books. I'm trying to like imagine.
Even like a game of D&D might be interesting.
I know. Actually, that's what I was going to ask you. Who is what? So Orica is a bard. I think that Herod would be a paladin. I know he's not particularly religious, but he's incredibly devoted to Orica and her like cause. And I think he's going to take up her cause in the next book because she's gone, like based on him like singing her song and all that sorts of stuff.
Yeah.
You
He could just be a fighter that I don't know. Is there like a fighter that gets like a devote or like a paladin like thing later on?
Class.
Multi-class, yeah.
Multi-class. Aaron is Vika is a druid. And she's a druid. Garrick would have been. I thought Garrick would have been a fighter. We don't have many people who have magic, so it's not like we're gonna have sorcerers or wizards or anything.
Yeah, Garrick. Yeah, probably just a fighter, or he does sneak around a lot, so he's kind of like a
rogue.
He's a little roguish, yeah, and maybe a little rangerish because he's in the woods all the time, and yeah.
Fen is the ranger.
Fen's definitely the ranger.
Fen is the ranger, and Cait is a baby bard.
Yes, yeah, there are two bards in one party. That's one too many, probably two too many.
That's hilarious. Aaron and Cait are the badly made characters, so you have to re-roll stats.
Exactly.
That's so accurate. Oh my gosh. Cait needs to.
Grub is the rogue. Yes, that's actually way more true.
Barbarian multi-class with rogue.
Yes.
Secret. He's very secret rogue. Mara would be the wizard, even though she doesn't have magic, just because, wizards have their books and they have their magic school and they're sciencey stuff. Yeah, I'm still trying to think of what book I would pair this with. I'm resisting the urge to go into my bedroom and look at my giant bookshelf. The Bulgarian isn't. I like the Bulgarian because it's a classic fantasy story, but it's very different than this because the main character is very, very young, and there's definitely more than one like Gandalf type character, and I don't feel like we had any sort of Gandalf-esque characters in this story. Oh my gosh, I have to close my eyes and picture my bookshelf. I don't know if there's anything that I would say other than just the traditional stuff. Probably the Bulgarian. The Bulgarian wouldn't be a bad choice. Because I don't think any of Robin Hobb's stuff is very similar either. Because it goes around many different types of tropes. She does use tropes. I know. The Bulgarian is the first fantasy novel series that I read when I was younger, though. Not a bad pairing as counterpart, right? So I feel like if you read the Bulgarian before you read the Ember Blade, then you'll get like the baby version, and then the Ember Blade will come in and be like, this is the better version. This is the grown-up, glow-up version of the Bulgarian, the better version. And so, yeah, it's like the old-timey. But Polgara is really cool, and you can't tell me Polgara is not cool because she is awesome. She's like a female Gandalf. And she's like the first badass lady character I ever read in a fantasy book.
Indeed.
I just did the Michigan goodbye thing where I distracted you with another question because you didn't finish what you were saying. You like the Bulgarian better? Really? Surprising.
All right. Well.
Yeah. Any last parting words? If you like the book, read it. Or if you like fantasy, read this book because yeah.
Yes, definitely check it out. I will. I feel like I've championed the Ember Blade more, or the Black Coast. Yes, more than this book. But this book was like almost at that level for me. And
yeah, I really liked it. I don't know where to rate it in the books that I've read this year, but I know it took me a little while to get through, but it's definitely up there. The reason I think it took me so long is because I literally stopped right at chapter 70. And so I was getting thrown into that classroom thing and I was like, what the hell is this? And so I couldn't like get invested again easily, but yeah.
Yep.
And there's no fake dragons in this book, so.
Yep. None in Black Coast either. All right, end of stream time. Here we go.
Rude.
No rebuttals. This is my stream. I own it.
I guess he does get to say that. Yeah, I really loved this book. Thank you for listening to my ramblings. I'm gonna go with Master Sal's prediction of Aaron giving the Ember Blade to Cade when he comes back from the dead. Maybe Cade will come back with magic.
Maybe that would be quite a fireworks prediction. All right.
Yes. Well, you know what? I can't even say.
Yes. Yeah. No, we can't say. But yes. Anyway, we will end the stream now. Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone. Thanks for watching.
Thank you.